The Bowling Green Board of Commissioners is made up of 4 commissioners and Mayor Bruce Wilkerson. In this edition of Spotlight on Bowling Green, we will sit down with the 4 city commissioners to learn more about what they have planned for their new term in office.
I've been on the city commission since 2007, and when I originally ran, I ran to try to bring the experience I had as a 20-year city employee, and although retired, the years I had in public life with regard to business and that sort of thing. So I thought bringing those 2 skill sets together would provide some assistance to the city commission. They were struggling at that time because all 5 of them were brand new, and bringing some knowledge of how the city government worked I thought was appropriate. What I see in Bowling Green as a challenge, a lot of people kind of see as a problem. The challenge to me is we're a growing community. There's some great points about that, but there's also some challenges. What do you do with the traffic that comes in? Where do people live? What does that do to housing prices and that sort of thing? So those are challenges, but if we weren't a growing community and actually were declining, then we'd have the real problems, because how do we pay for anything that goes on here? As we continue to grow, we've been able to find a way to pay for the items that are necessary for city government without raising our tax rates. Been here a long time now, 13 years I guess it is, and we haven't raised our tax rates yet. In fact, we've even lowered it on a couple of occasions. So I'm pleased to be able to provide the necessities from city services without going to someone else's pocket, because I recognize that every dollar I spend, I have taken away from somebody else and what they'd like to do for their own spending. I personally try to concentrate on our basics, which are public safety, public works. Everything else is things that we look at to try to prioritize beyond that. Well, my goals haven't changed since I've begun, and that's trying to make sure that we get the absolute best that we can for the tax dollars that people give to us. We try to have the best police and fire and public works. In fact, we're one of the only communities in the United States, the only one in Kentucky, and one of the few, handful, maybe 20 or 30 throughout the U.S. that have a professionally accredited police department, professionally accredited fire department, professionally accredited 911 center, professionally accredited public works department, all at the same time. And this isn't just a one-time thing. These are multiple accreditations year after year after year. So those standards that you see from a national or statewide basis are here, and that's how we're able to do so well, I think, is because we follow the standards as best we can. What we look for is to try to make sure that we're accountable in what we do, and we try to make sure that municipal government in Bowling Green is responsible to the people. And what that means to me is, of a customer service standpoint, the public doesn't work for the city employees work for the public, and we want to make sure that the public are treated like customers. Now, I know in the police department that may not seem like somebody gets a ticket or somebody gets arrested. Yeah, there's an element of control there that some people may not appreciate, but for the greater good of all, we want to make sure that we're a customer service oriented organization.
Joe Dinning was born and raised in Bowling Green and is deeply rooted in the community. The High Street High School graduate spent much of his career as a Bowling Green police officer and a Kentucky State Trooper. Commissioner Dinning was originally elected in 1992 and has served 24 non-consecutive years in office.
Well, I think those 18 years of being an elected official on a school board prepared me for many of the things that I was going to face as a new city commissioner, and it has. I've been very fortunate to kind of rely on some of those experiences, and I've also been fortunate to have been here for the number of years that I have, but that has to do with a lot of people in the community that has helped me to achieve those years. I think the major challenge facing Bowling Green under the form of government that we have is the fact that efforts must continue to try to attract jobs into the city of Bowling Green. It's a must. With our occupational tax structure, we have income come in from that based on the number of jobs that we have. The occupational tax pays a lot of bills for the city of Bowling Green. And if we continue to attract jobs, it's going to make a better place for all of our citizens in Bowling Green to live. Well, I try not to set personal goals. Efforts to make Bowling Green a better place for all of us to live will always be a priority of mine. And that is making sure that our employees have everything they need in order to do their job, which in turn provides the citizen services that we have a main mandate to provide. As we continue to grow as a city, then we're going to have more citizens. So making sure that the city employees are taken care of is a very high priority of mine, and has always been.
Dana Beasley Brown came to Bowling Green almost 20 years ago as a student at Western Kentucky University, and like so many others, she decided to make Bowling Green her home. Commissioner Beasley Brown works at Bowling Green Junior High in the Youth Services Center, where she spends each day supporting kids and their dreams.
We share this city as a sacred responsibility, not just only to each other, but to future generations. And how we decide to build our city today and engage the economy of tomorrow will transform our city forever. Because our city is growing fast, and that's really exciting, and growth is definitely good for our community. But I believe our growth must be based on a vision of the city we want to become and protect the things we love about Bowling Green, like our neighborhoods, and it needs to celebrate our unique landscape by investing in bike trails and sidewalks, green spaces, and the parks and other amenities that help us live and work and play to the fullest right here in Bowling Green. Well, I have been a community advocate for almost 15 years now, and I've also been working in the schools in the Youth Services Center at the junior high. And through that community work, that has given me a lot of experience in bringing people from different walks of life who have different opinions, but who love our city, and bringing them together to make sure that we are solving problems and being vision-oriented and coming together to really make sure that we're all invested and we're all a part of bringing our best selves to move our community forward. Well, we are growing really fast, and that's very exciting, and I think that is a great thing, but it definitely brings some challenges. And that trying to make sure that our infrastructure keeps up with that growth is a challenge. So I think it's incredibly important to make sure we're strategic about our growth so that it's sustainable. And so I think part of meeting those challenges is around transportation. That's not just about cars and our mass transit system, but how do we incorporate bikes and walking and all the different ways that people are going to use transportation in the future, right? We're going to have driverless cars soon. We're going to have drones, and all these things are changing as our city is changing, our economy is changing things too, and that's going to impact the type of infrastructure our future generations need. And so I think we just really need to be strategic, be forward-thinking, and making sure that we are setting up future generations for success, and that we're not giving them a headache of major problems to deal with because we weren't proactive. So I think it's incredibly important that we are good stewards of this moment of rapid growth so that we ensure that future generations have a good quality of life. Another goal that I have is to make city government more accessible to our community. I know when we talk about government, sometimes that can seem intimidating, and we're up there on that platform, and it can be nerve-wracking. I'm nervous up there as a city commissioner, so I want to try and make our city government as accessible to folks and make them feel comfortable, and that they can give input, and that their viewpoint and that their life experiences we need them, and I hope either through when we have our meetings, that it's a time where folks can come and bring their families and be a part of the process, or supporting our BG Gov to Go events that are going out into our neighborhoods and making sure that we are going to the people and making those connections, and I hope to encourage more of that.
Following her graduation from Western Kentucky University in 1982, Sue Perigin decided to make Bowling Green her home. She works as the program manager for the Career and Workforce Development at WKU. Commissioner Perigin was elected in November of 2014 and is serving her second term in office.
Initially, I decided to run for City Commission, well, first and foremost, because I love Bowling Green, and secondly, I had several citizens that approached me that said, hey, you know, you might want to consider getting into a leadership role at the city level. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know, giving back to the community that's given so much to me just seemed to make sense. And so I had never run for anything before, no public office or, you know, any other type of elected position, but it just seemed like the right time and the right thing to do to give back to the community. The experience I bring to the table as I sit here today, approaching a second term, is 2 years as serving as a city commissioner for the city of Bowling Green. Gained a lot of experience over the last couple years, a lot of inside knowledge, and the role of a leader, of a commissioner in a city the size of Bowling Green. I also am very, very active in the community. I've been an active part of this community for three plus decades. And work a lot with the Chamber of Commerce and different volunteer activities, nonprofits. I also have a degree in organizational leadership and development, so I feel like my education and experience throughout the number of years that almost 40 years that I've lived here have led me to this place. Gosh, I love that Bowling Green is an open, welcoming community, that we're progressive, yet we still keep that small town. We have big city amenities with that small town feel. I love the people of Bowling Green. I think one of the things that I love the most about Bowling Green and one of our assets is our cultural opportunities, our educational opportunities. The fact that our leadership across education, the chamber, the city, the county, and a lot of other agencies come together as one with the common goal of creating a better opportunity for our citizens here and creating a better community for us to live and work and raise our families. As far as goals for my next term in office, continuing to keep taxes at bay. We have not raised taxes in, I believe, 14 years now. While increasing the quality and the amenities that we can provide to our citizens, expanding our parks, adding body cameras to the police toolbox, continuing to provide funding for new advances in our fire technology and those programs, building infrastructure in our sidewalks and the neighborhoods, and providing those are the things that really stand out.
Originally from Terre Haute, Indiana, Slim Nash came to Bowling Green in 1988 to attend Western Kentucky University on a swimming scholarship. Upon graduation, he stayed in Bowling Green, and it has become his home. Commissioner Nash was originally elected as City Commissioner in November 2004 and served 4 consecutive terms through 2012. He was re-elected to the position in 2016.
I chose to run for City Commission really shortly after I got defeated last time. I really like the work of the City Commission. It's not so much the appearing on the news or being interviewed by radio or the newspaper. I really like the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of doing the work of a city commissioner. I've spent 20 years now in social services, working social services in Bowling Green. And while that's one perspective, what social services has allowed me to do is develop, I think, critical listening skills and also a comfortableness dealing with all of the public. I think we, as human beings, get really comfortable with the people that we surround ourselves with. My job forces me to be around people that are much different than I am, although sometimes they are just like I am, but it has helped me develop, I think, a lot of skills that are important when interacting with the public, because we don't get the luxury of saying we're only going to represent this section of the community or that faction of the community. And so it's important to have skills that will allow us to interact with people from all walks of life. The challenges I see for Bowling Green are interconnected with what I love about Bowling Green, and the vibrancy and the growth of the city also presents some challenges. In my opinion, they're great challenges to have. There are lots of cities who aren't dealing with vibrancy and growth and what the ancillary effects of those are, but we have to ensure that our infrastructure can maintain the growth that we're seeing and that we want to continue to see. And infrastructure comes in all kinds of different forms. I think most often people think about, do streets and sidewalks, but infrastructure has more to do than streets and sidewalks. Do we have plenty of parks? Do we have the amenities in town that people want to access? Because if people want to access those amenities, then we are going to be able to continue to draw new industry and new business to town. Nobody wants to, or very few people, I should say, want to work in a town that doesn't have much to offer. And so I think when we're out looking to recruit new businesses to Bowling Green, to be able to talk about all the types of infrastructure that we have is a real selling point. So it is imperative that we continue to see those things grow, that we invest in them, and that we don't get lost in just roads and sidewalks, and that we recognize that infrastructure comes in a lot of different forms.
If you would like to learn more about this or any other Spotlight on Bowling Green program, please call 270-393-3000 or visit bgky.org.